Yo, what is up today? Today I wanted to talk about um gap years. So just taking a gap year after school or even while school for some people. And one thing that's really been on my mind is the growing reduction of people going on gap years, especially my age, because I think there's some sort of some people are just scared of taking gap years because I asked a lot of my friends, right, or just a lot of people that I know or in school, would you take a gap year? And if you did, what would you do? Most people said they wouldn't even think about it. They wouldn't do it, and it's quite sad to me because these are some of the best years in your life. This is what everyone says, but it's not their fault. It's mostly just um societal construction and things such as that nowadays, because it makes you kind of feel like if you take a gap year, you're wasting your life, you're wasting your time, and you should be working to get money. And people are now scared of taking those gap years, which is really sad because I myself I'm thinking of taking a gap year because, I mean, why not? I'm young, explore the world whilst I can. And even when I'm older and I've got a job, if I do have a job, I'm still going to explore the world. And the job would be quite temporary, but that's besides the point. A lot of people, they're just really scared to take steps into the future without knowing where they're going. Because, since before, even before my generation before that, in school, it's been instilled in you to be just so addicted to certainty to the point where it's like, if you do anything that may be a risk, people don't even think about trying. I mean, there's people on social media, but when you actually look in real life, that is so little. You only see on social media a lot, or people make a million flipping pounds a flipping year by the age of 18 or something. But those are miracle stories. Almost of the time, they're just kind of fake. And a lot of people have noticed that, so people have stopped actually dreaming to do something besides getting a job and making money, which is really sad, and I think you guys know that. But yeah, it's really sad to look at it because I would have thought a lot of people want to take a gap year. They want to explore the world, but it is the funding too, which is quite expensive. Even myself, I don't know how I'm gonna fund it, but I know that not being able to fund it will make it more of a story and something where it's much more worth the while, because a lot of people fund it and they obviously go on trips and everything, but it's set in stone as well. It's also something that you've already made sure it's certain, you've got everything ready. So it's just basically the same thing as going through the school system again, academics and whatnot. Obviously you get that trip, but it doesn't have that same feeling or wow to it. And yeah, that's just how it is with a lot of people. If they're not certain, they're not doing it. And that's because they know the cost of being uncertain. And a lot of people like me might not think too much about the cost of uncertainty, but a lot of people do think about it. But the thing is, as a human, you need to get over the fact that uncertainty is gonna be always there. You're gonna have to live through and dig through that uncertainty with absolute grit, and that's the only way you can actually make it to the other side. Because a lot of people work at dead-end jobs, and even if they work at a good job, they don't enjoy that job because they haven't used that time wisely. All they do is work, and make the money. And I think that's really sad because you see it nowadays, a lot of people speaking about it and acting thinking they've wasted their life. Obviously you can always start again, you can try again, but a lot of their years as young people has been wasted, probably alcoholism and other things such as that. And I think that is due to the way that our society has been constructed and how people now have to work overtime, work restlessly just to make that money. And that gap year is looking like a big no for people. And I'm here to say that a gap year, no matter how uncertain you are, you, if you have the ability to take a gap year, you have to take that gap year. A lot of people don't. Even I would say I'm barely eligible to be taking a gap year, but I will work for that gap year no matter what, because it can be as longer than a year. It can. I don't care. That's what I think. That's what makes the journey much funner. And a lot of teachers have even said that they've regretted not taking gap years, but a lot of students still don't take that on board because they haven't experienced it for themselves. And for me, I would rather not experience not taking a gap year, because obviously you have to experience everything, but something like that is something that I don't really want to experience. I want to experience that uncertainty of a gap year, not making enough money, or maybe even getting stuck in a country. That's like law. That's how you get your law. How you get your dad law or your mum law, whichever one. And a lot of people are scared of that nowadays because they know the consequences, which in the moment can feel terrifying, but over time you just laugh it off. Just like when you were kids and you got in trouble for something or you did something bad, your heart would just not stop beating like really hard. But nowadays you look back at it, you're like, oh wow, that was really funny. And that's what really made life. You need to be able to take those risks, get in trouble for it, or maybe not even get in trouble, not illegal trouble obviously, but just get yourself into a lot of mess and mix-ups. That is how you build your life and how you build an interesting life, not just for the looks of it, but for your own development. Think of yourself as a character that needs to be developed. You always need to be satisfied with yourself, but you can't be too satisfied. And I don't mean greed and hunger by chasing after money and chasing after this, chasing after your physique. I'm saying chasing after that story. You need to make your storyline by yourself. And that is made by hard decisions, that you make stupid decisions even. And that's what builds just a lovely life. That's what builds something actually worth living. And I was inspired by Naruto a lot, because he lives a really rough life, and not just as a young person, but even older. He lives in a way where he just powers through and goes through, and that really inspires me, because obviously I've always got those thoughts, and me as a person that thinks a lot, like deeply, I start to think a lot about the world in a nihilistic view, which is it's so easy to slip into when you think really existential, and it can be damaging. But you might, if you haven't experienced being in an existential like thought or drought, or not even drought, but drowning in existential like thoughts, you need to really put the phone down. You need to put all the noise down and really delve deep into your inner voices, really, and really just think about the state of the world and everything, because that's what really gives you that clarity in mind. And I've gained that many times, but lost it so many times due to distractions, which is really sad. Which even right now, I'm kind of distracted, but that's mostly from exams and things such as that. So I haven't really been thinking and having time to myself as much. But I try every day to have that little time just to think, sit down and think. That's what builds character. Because I've talked about this in another video about deep thinking, existentialism, and divine thoughts, things such as that. And you can watch that if you want my deep, in-depth thoughts on this. But this is spiraling way off what I was speaking about with the gap year. But all of this kind of connects with the gap year, because you can connect yourself as a person and find. And I know this sounds really cliche, like finding yourself, Hollywood movie type thing. But I mean, I think it's a step that you must take to develop yourself, because a lot of people miss that step in life and now they regret it. And that step is super crucial. Like, that's what defines what you would become as an adult, because a lot of people view being an adult as just being boring, and it's tied to, like, say, watching news in the morning and eating your cereal and having kids and just having dead eyes. And that's really sad to me, because as an adult, it's supposed to be your young self that has just grown up and collected so much information that you've become much more of a wise person, not just a person that works and works non-stop just to provide, and not just to provide but just to live by themselves. Even some people have that sort of life, and I've talked to a lot of friends, and a lot of them say they would work themselves into the ground for money, and it is so appalling to hear. And that isn't just their fault, but just because the cost of living and things such as that. And it's really sad to see, because a lot of young people have kind of lost that fire of just doing whatever the hell they want. It's coming back on social media, but in real life you don't see it much. You see on social media a lot of people going abroad, things such as that, but most of the time they're funded by their family, have a lot of money, or they've done something in the past that just gets them a lot of money, so they don't have that problem. And that's not a lot of people's reality. A lot of people's reality is that they have to work, they have to get a job as soon as possible, support their family, and even their family in the future when they make one, let me see. But yeah, it's just really sad. Young people are becoming adults much quicker, especially with desensitization on social media and even in real life with people spreading things. And it's really sad to see, because people don't have that fire. I really want to take that gap year to find that fire, because I've started to lose it, and it's just inevitable nowadays. But finding it is hard. It is really difficult, much more difficult than just letting it die out and just forgetting about it, getting older, and then regretting it, looking for that fire again that has burnt out years ago. And some people never recover it. And as young people, we have social media. We are able to look at other people's lives and regrets and kind of put them like upon ourselves and see what we do and what answer we come up with. And I think a gap year will really help you come up with that answer, because everything rides on that answer. Your own philosophy of life, your own philosophy of the way you want to live. That philosophy will literally make the steps for the rest of your life. And my philosophy is kind of skewed right now. I've got quite a little bit of a nihilistic view on life, and nihilistic view on quite a lot of things. Doesn't mean I'm gonna shoot up a school or something, no. But I don't know. I'll go into depth in another video. You can see that, or I might even make a new video for that. But my nihilistic views, they're bad, but in a way, they've kind of helped me gain that mind clarity and gain what the world really is. Because with social media, people are blinded. People have different thoughts on the world. They're not focused on the correct things. And it's really sad to see, because not focusing on the correct things will waste your life, just the same as not taking a gap year. And you don't have to take a gap year, but to have a time in your life, or even all of your life, where you dedicate it to actually experiencing new things. And that doesn't mean just traveling, but doing things that are hard, difficult, and that's what really makes your life more worth living, in my opinion. And I'm not here to dictate about your life. Obviously, I'm speaking about myself, but also things that I would like to see in the future with other people, instead of the way it really is now. And you can't stop the nihilistic views, because the circumstance is quite nihilistic. So but that's just about it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I haven't posted in a while, because low-key, I don't know. It takes a lot of time to arrange my thoughts and to speak it on camera, but I'm going to try and just speak my mind even when it's not made up. I hope this video is not too long, but it probably will be. I'll see you guys in a bit.